Hey.
So,
How you doing?
it's been a while.
Good to see everyone.
Yeah, we're back.
We're back.
So today we're going to talk about Ozempic, the diabetes drug
Right.
that apparently everyone is using for weight loss. So this is kind of a hot issue right now, right? Where you have this drug, which is not approved in any way, shape, or form for weight loss, but somewhere along the line, people figured out that this is a side effect of this drug, is that there's some extreme weight loss, and now doctors are starting to prescribe this, drug for weight loss despite it not being approved. And then obviously some stuff is happening, there's complications with it, and now there's lawsuits. So this is kind of why it's in the news right now.
Yeah, it makes sense. The results are incredible with the weight loss. The issue, though, is should the FDA do something, right?
Right.
Should they step in now because so many people are misusing it for weight loss?
Right, and I think one of the, just like I think any weight loss product, it cannot be used on a consistent basis, right? I mean, at some point, if they get off of Ozempic, like any medication, and then the weight goes back up, right, do they keep on coming back to it? Because I think prolonged use of that drug does have some severe side effects.
Typically with diabetes, if you have to go on diabetic medication, you're going to be on it for a period of time. It's not usually a short-term thing that you're on. People can come off it. You can change your diet and your lifestyle, lose weight, whatever it is, and you can get your blood sugar under control, and maybe you dial back on the medication or you come off it. But a lot of people are on diabetes medication and they need it, indefinitely. So the interesting thing here is, these side effects that are showing up, are they showing up in people that are taking the medication normally for their diabetes, or is this, like you sort of pointed out or alluded to, that the people are taking it for the weight loss and they're sort of abusing it and taking it too often or too much, or essentially overdosing themselves on it, right?
Right. I think it's like any medication, right? If people simply rely just on the pharmaceutical, and there is no change in lifestyle, right? It will take you only so much. And if they continue to be reliant on that particular one, on that particular medication, all these side effects are going to show up eventually.
And another layer is, don't you think the manufacturer now has a duty to warn if they know so many people are misusing this? One would hope the FDA would have realized this before launching Ozempic, maybe during the trials. They could have seen, oh my gosh, there is this other benefit, because losing weight is a benefit, right? You live longer, you live healthier, the whole economy works better. People don't miss work as much. But again,
it's interesting too, because we've all seen these drug commercials, right? And the U.S. is rare. We're one of the few countries in the world that our government allows drug companies to directly advertise their product to us, right? Versus to the doctors and the doctors telling us. So we see commercials all the time, right? So you see these commercials and they always have, people running through a field or playing with a puppy, right? And it's nothing to do with that, right? It's for some weird skin rash, or, maybe it's erectile dysfunction or whatever it is. And then at the end of the commercial, you get this mouth vomit of all the things, the side effects, and for me, I always hear rectal bleeding, right? That one just pops out to me, and I'm just wow, but there's a ton of these that come out, right, as it run on the screen. And the funny thing is, or at least the question I have is, weight loss is not going to be jammed into that list of all the problems that you're going to have if you take our drug to make you, to cure, your toe fungus, right? But it's did they put weight loss in there, or was weight loss sort of you may also lose weight, which is cool, right? So in a situation like Ozempic, should they be looking right now, quick, jump in there and let's get this approved for weight loss and get some real warnings and some real labeling on there so that people can use it but don't abuse it?
I think, unfortunately, with any of these pharmaceutical cases, they have some of the clinical trials that they go through where a lot of these lawsuits start popping up. Did they know about it? Should they have known about it? Should they have been testing for it? And I think for people who use any of these drugs, I think the second something does pop up, they do need to talk to an attorney, be proactive, talk to the doctors. There's ways to see if those side effects are ones that potentially there could be compensation for it and something that they should have been warned about.
Okay. Why is the consumer at fault if I see Roman taking Ozempic and it reduces his hypertension and then he loses weight too, and I want to do that as well? Why am I at fault?
But are you taking it for your diabetes, or
No,
are you taking it to lose weight?
Just to lose weight.
Well, I mean, that's why, right?
Right.
Because like you're doing something, and you should know in some capacity that this is not a weight loss thing, right? So if look, when you go to the pharmacy and you're going to get medication that needs a prescription and needs to be filled by a pharmacist, they're going to come to you and tell you get a consultation, right? They're not a doctor, they're a pharmacist, right? But they understand medicine and that sort of thing. And you have to get a consult. And if you don't want it, you have to reject it and you have to like sign off.
Right.
They're not even going to sell it to you. So if the pharmacist comes to you and says, hey, like, have you taken this before? No, it's my first time. Like, and he says, like, this is for diabetes, right? But like your prescription is for weight loss. It's not intended for weight loss, but it's a side effect. But like right? Or at least you're supposed to know. We know doctors prescribe stuff all the time, right? Like, you want to go take a long transatlantic flight and you go to the doctor and say, look, I need some sleeping pills, right? I want to sleep on this 19-hour flight, right? And the doctor will write you a prescription for it. Maybe not one with 1,000 refills, but right, they'll write you a prescription for it. Or maybe you want some Xanax because you're going to be anxious on the plane. And so it happens. And we know there are doctors out here that are prescribing this Ozempic for people specifically for weight loss. Even though it's not the intended purpose, they know it's, the result is there, that you can take this and it's going to happen. So I think it's sort of a collective liability on everybody, right? And if these people are bringing lawsuits, right, we here in California live in a comparative fault state, right? So maybe there's going to be, depending on where the lawsuits are brought, there's going to be some argument from the pharmaceutical company or even a doctor's brought in. It's like, hey, you were aware of these risks and you still chose to do this. I don't know. I guess we'll find out when these eventually get to trial and we see what happens. All right. Well, I guess we'll see what happens. Let's wait for these trials and maybe we'll do a part 2, right?
I love that.
Okay.
Okay. All right.